Hey, this is DBR. We're here with Rika Iino. 10 questions, unlimited responses. Here we go. Question number 1. What is your name and how do you define yourself?
My name is Rika Iino. It's a Japanese name. I'm from Japan.
Ah,
Um, but I'm bicultural, meaning I grew up in America as well as Japan. So I don't really consider myself either of those things. I'm both at the same time.
oh, I love that. Both at the same time.
I'm a hybrid.
You're a hybrid. Ah, working with artists who deal in hybridity. Question number 2. What were your past dreams and aspirations as a child?
My past dreams were two things. One is I wanted to become an architect.
Hmm.
When I was 13 years old, I went to Paris and saw the Ayampe pyramid at the Louvre and said, if a Chinese man can build this in Paris, I can do anything. Uh, and so I was really inspired by that sort of whole notion of crossing boundaries, working internationally, art, architecture. So yeah, for the longest time, I wanted to become an architect because of that experience. The other part is I wanted to be a vet.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wow. Do you still have a love of animals?
I do. I have a total soft spot for animals. Um, yeah, that's just something that I've always considered, and
Oh,
I don't think I ever will, but it's definitely had a place in my heart growing up.
I had no idea. Wow,
The
I had no idea. And in fact, I would never have thought Rika Eno,
best.
veterinary medicine. Wow. Okay. Question number 3. Describe your work and your dreams and aspirations now as an adult.
I think as a mother of a 4-year-old, my focus as a person drastically changed, as it does to many of us. Um, so I can think in long term now so much better, and I can live in the moment at the same time.
Ah,
So that ability, I think, is only possible when you have a child. It's like you're thinking about your daughter or your son's future 20 years from now, 30 years from now. What's the planet like? Climate change. But at the same time, you learn to really rejoice the moment and live in the present and appreciate it. And I think that when I was younger, I was much more focused on like this week or this year's goal or the next year's goal, and it's very tangible. But I think the ability to think huge and think small at the same time is something that I rejoice now. And based on that, I think my dreams and aspiration now is to build a better future for our next generation.
hmm. Well, this is a perfect segue into a question that is a little bit left of center, not right, but left. I think you are uniquely qualified to answer this question, and I
Okay.
think it's an important question. It's question number 4. How does love function within your life?
Is at the center.
Oh,
It's like I think if it wasn't for the love, so I'm talking about like love for the planet,
mm, okay.
love for just the compassion that comes from love, a lot of forgiveness that comes from love.
Mm,
Um, it's not something artificial, like I have a love relationship with someone. Like, of course, there's a foundation of a relationship or marriage or love for the child, but I think there's this underlying theme of love and compassion in what we do. Actually, what we do at the agency as well. We talk a lot about compassion and love as the basis of why we do what we do. It's because we feel compassionate towards each other and we want to help each other. And I think if it weren't for that foundation, the rest is kind of like superfluous and it's meaning. It's not definitely not. If if there are other elements like love that are important to people, let's say it's money or it's health, to me, love supersedes all of that. Compassion. So it's very important, and it's the driving element, I think, from what we do.
Well, another great, wonderful allusion and segue into our fifth question. Please help us understand your interpretation of art leadership and the enterprising artist.
Arts leadership. Arts leadership is like people leadership to me. You know, arts is nothing without audience. Arts is nothing but without the creators. And it just comes down to people to me. You know, we talk about arts leadership as if this is like some siloed environment. But it's really, I see arts leadership as a community leadership or as a representative of that particular community, not just the organization, not just like sort of this presenting world or whatever, or, you know, artist management. Let's go beyond the notion of arts and talk about impact and leadership in terms of where you live. Who are you talking to? Who are your constituents in terms of the impact that you bring to that community, and how are you leading those people? To me, arts leadership is nothing different from, let's say, you know, leadership of any organization. It just means, you know, how are you inspiring and how are you allowing other people to succeed in your community? So that to me is arts leadership. It's just leadership.
And
arts, enterprising artist?
Yes, the enterprising artist. Yeah.
Enterprising artist, if I may ask, what does that mean to you? Just so I'm clarifying the question.
For me, it's pretty simple. Those artists who have found a way to support their work and support themselves and their family in a myriad of
like a thriving artist?
Yeah, in a myriad of new and innovative ways.
I think in today's term, in 2017's term, an enterprising artist is somebody that has figured out a way to not just create work and present it, but to involve as many people as possible in their cause. So it's not just about filling a 2,000-seat hall, but are those 2,000 people then going out into their community and impacting their friends and community? So how are you spreading positive messages through your work, hopefully positive? And I really don't see it as enterprising artist to me today isn't about this escapism in art. It's about outward moving. It's bits out. Bits in, bits out. So I think about that. And of course, there is the practicality of how have you been able to diversify your income streams in a way that sustains you.
Right. So
that you're afforded the space and time to continue creating in the way that you want and that is authentic to you. So finances, impact, I think those are the pillars of an enterprising artist. And quite frankly, how have you honed in on your business skills?
Yes.
The last time, you've honed in on your business skills as much as your artistic skills. I think those are very, very important these days. So yeah, if you know how to balance your books, you're probably going to be a little more successful, in my opinion. And then if you can't at all, or possess the ability to hire the right person who does know it, and that in itself, the hiring and the delegating, managing a team, that in itself is a business skill as well. So I don't think you can get away these days without having one, having a business skill set. So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we're halfway there. Here we go. Rapid fire. Which artist, and you can only pick one, do you most admire and why? And you can say today. Which artist do you most admire and why today?
Oh my God, this is so hard.
It's terrible, I know.
It's interesting. I mean, I think I have to say, I think I have to say Bjork.
Mm.
No, actually, I don't really know her very well. I feel like the artist that I know well, that I respect most, is Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Huh.
So I'll go there because I think
Okay.
that I can speak to it more authentically, and that to me is what he's been able to do is take sort of what has become pop music into something more impactful. So he's really, through the 7 years or so of his career, has gone from a pop artist to kind of an activist. But he has used commercial success to literally create roadmap for people to follow these important causes. So for him, it's environmental usually. Um, and so he's sort of created an industry around him. And of course, culturally, as sort of a uh, understated, shy Japanese artist that is making a global impact, that means something to me because I think in the Western world, you think of big celebrities with the outspoken and flashy as a sign of success. But for me, sort of the understated and kind of under the radar, is very, very, to me personally, very attractive.
Mm. Excellent. Eiichi Sakamoto, yes, absolutely. For some of our viewers who don't know, one of his most recent soundtracks was to the Academy Award-winning film The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Connected to this question.
Oh, and a cancer survivor.
Yes, he's very
Yeah.
open about that. That's very true. It's on his website and several sites. Very open about that. Which arts presenter, administrator, or cultural leader do you most admire and why?
Right now, I've got to say it's Mark Bamuti Joseph.
Hey,
He's,
imagine that.
and
That's
I mean,
great.
I'm not saying it's because he's on our amazing roster,
Yeah.
but um, and I only understand a portion, a really small portion of what he is and what he does as an artist and presenter and as a cultural leader. I'm only beginning to scratch the surface of that understanding. So I look forward to spending years with him trying to learn from the wealth of knowledge that he possesses. But I think his ability to sort of speak to so many worlds, his compassionate ways, his sort of fearless ways. He has a way of affecting you without being in your face. Like, I think that that's the way that he's been able to transform an organization that he's associated with. Um, Again, that's just my superficial sort of judgment of the situation because I'm not in the organization, so I can't speak to their own experiences of going through it. But yeah, Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, Mark Bamuti Joseph, that comes to mind as a model of disruption.
Ooh, as a model of disruption,
Hmm.
I love that. I need to quote that several times a day. Um, does the artistic community have a role and responsibility towards the many problems afflicting our communities?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Yeah, does the artistic community have a role and responsibility towards the problems afflicting our communities?
Yes, for sure. I'm not sure if responsibility is
Hmm,
the right word, or I don't even really know artistic community what that means. I just think of it as people. Again, like I'm trying to
sure.
distill this notion of arts community, arts leaders, arts this, arts that. Like to me, it's just community.
Hmm.
Um, Arts this and that usually only means something to arts this and that people. So I'm just
True.
trying to break down those walls and be like, well, why don't we just talk as a community? Yes, absolutely. I think there's responsibility. I think that in some ways, especially post-election, it's become kind of trendy, like it's become kind of a norm to be aware and responsible and responsive
Mm-hmm.
to the issues. Brands are doing it, corporations are doing it. And I don't mind that it's become a trend because I think that it's totally the way it should have been all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes something catastrophic to happen before everyone mobilizes. So I think of it like Chinese medicine, like you start treating something, you get worse before you get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's not so much a responsibility as much as maybe it's just a response to the current times. If you're not naturally already responding to the current times, there's something really wrong with you.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, if your
Mm.
body is not naturally responding to lots of toxins you pump into your body, like, soft drinks or sodas, then there's something wrong with you. So I think that you need to be really looked at. Like, if you're not showing those symptoms.
Mm.
So I think of that same thing in terms of the arts, because like if we're not showing the symptoms of what is happening around us,
Oh,
then
wow. What a great analogy. Yeah.
then I feel like, okay, you need to get checked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, Rika, what terrifies you the most?
Global warming?
Very precise. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Global warming. All right. Well, this is the last question. Please complete this sentence. Next year, you will.
Next year I will be on a sabbatical for a few months.
Which means you're working really hard right now. Wow.
Oh, that is to say, next year I will pay more attention to self-care so that I can take care of more people.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful.
That's my conclusion.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your time here. I think that these responses to these questions are really critical in our thinking of how cultural leaders and those who are wanting to affect change in their world um, actually affect change in their world. And on behalf of the arts community, I just wanted to say thank you for the tens of thousands, indeed, I think the millions of people you have affected and helped to inspire and have made a difference in their lives and the lives of their families and the lives of their communities. And it's a very real thing as we start to think about Zozo artists and the artists that you're working with and the impact that they're having every single day throughout the world. So thank you so very much for that.
No, thank you. You just stole words out of my mouth about you. So thank you for hosting this series of interviews. It's great.
Awesome. Well,
I look to other responses.
thank you, Rika Iino, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.